Jana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavajikacharya Stotara Satashishimal Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBD Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 28, Text 30. Yat śrī-niketam alibhiḥ parisevyamānam. Yat śrī-niketam alibhiḥ parisevyamānam. Bhūtyā svayā kuṭila-kuntala-vṛnda-juṣṭam. Bhūtyā svayā kuṭila-kuntala-vṛnda-juṣṭam. Mīna-dvayāśrayam adhikṣipad abja-netraṁ. Mīna-dvayāśrayam adhikṣipad abja-netraṁ. dhyāyen manomayam atandrita ullasad-bhru. dhyāyen manomayam atandrita ullasad-bhru. Yat śrī-niketam alibhiḥ parisevyamānam. Bhūtyā svayā kuṭila-kuntala-vṛnda-juṣṭam. mīna-dvayāśrayam adhikṣipad abja-netraṁ. dhyāyen manomayam atandrita ullasad-bhru. Others, please. Vaishnavis. Yet, which face of the Lord? Śrī-niketam, a lotus. Alibhiḥ, by bees. Parisevyamānam, surrounded. Bhūtyā, by elegance. Svayā, its. Kuṭila, curly. Kuntala, of hair. Vṛnda, by a multitude. Juṣṭam, adorned. Mīna, of fish. Dvaya, a pair. āśrayam, dwelling. Adhikṣipad, putting to shame. Abja, a lotus. Netram, having eyes. Dhyāyet, one should meditate on. Manomayam, formed in the mind. Atandrita, attentive. Ullasat, dancing. Bhru, having eyebrows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus eyes and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by its elegance. Purport. One important statement here is dhyāyen, manomayam. Manomayam is not imagination. So manomayam in the translation here means form in the mind. And Prabhupada is saying that that form in the mind is not imagination. Impersonalists think that the yogi can imagine any form he likes. But, as stated here, the yogi must meditate upon the form of the Lord, which is experienced by devotees. Devotees never imagine a form of the Lord. They are not satisfied by something imaginary. The Lord has different eternal forms. Each devotee likes a particular form and thus engages himself in the service of the Lord by worshiping that form. The Lord's form is depicted in different ways according to scriptures. As already discussed, there are 8 kinds of representations of the original form of the Lord. These representations can be produced by the use of clay, stone, wood, paint, sand, etc. So missing 3. Can anybody, what are the missing 3? We have clay, stone, wood, paint, sand. What? Metal, yeah. Jewels. The mind. Okay, that's 8. So it says, depending upon the resources of the devotee. Manomayam is a carving of the form of the Lord within the mind. This is included as one of the 8 different carvings of the form of the Lord. It is not imagination. Meditation on the actual form of the Lord may be manifested in different manners, but one should not conclude that one has to imagine a form. There are 2 comparisons in this verse. First, the Lord's face is compared to a lotus, and then his black hair is compared to humming bees swarming around the lotus, and his 2 eyes are compared to 2 fish swimming about. A lotus flower on the water is very beautiful when surrounded by humming bees and fish. The Lord's face is self-sufficient and complete. His beauty defies the natural beauty of a lotus. Om Agana Tamaram Dasha Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshut Urmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Karamayam Dadati Swaparantikam. So Prabhupada starts his purport. He says, one important statement here is dhyāyen manomayam. Manomayam is not imagination. Because impersonalists think that the yogi can imagine any form he likes, but as stated here, the yogi must meditate upon the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees. So that sounds familiar to me. I feel like I've heard that someplace before. Does anybody else have that feeling, that impression? Does that sound familiar to you? It says here that the yogi must meditate on the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like, you feel like you heard that before? Huh? Can't remember? Anybody? Well, just yesterday in the purport, Prabhupada said, a yogi is advised to meditate upon the forms that are approved by devotees. One. Okay? Goes on. A yogi cannot imagine the form, a form for meditation. That's the next sentence in this purport. Devotees never imagine a form of the Lord. And Prabhupada goes on to say, this is yesterday, those so-called yogis who manufacture a circle or a target are engaged in nonsense. Then he says, okay, here it comes again. Actually, a yogi must meditate upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that has been experienced by the Lord's pure devotees. That's yesterday's purport, second time. Yogi means devotee. It says, yogis who are not actually pure devotees should follow in the footsteps of devotees. That's basically a third time. It is especially mentioned here that the yogi should meditate upon the form which is approved. He cannot manufacture a form of the Lord. So just in yesterday's purport, 3 times, clearly, he says that the yogis have to get the information about the form of the Lord to meditate upon from the devotees. And twice, he says they can't manufacture it, it can't be imagination. So this is obviously a really important point, because just yesterday, Prabhupada in the purport repeated it 3 or 4 times, and in the next purport, he's making the same point again. He says, devotees never imagine a form of the Lord. They are not satisfied by something imaginary. So, what does that tell you? Okay, Prabhupada's making the point here. Once again, the point is that yogis must meditate upon the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees. What does that say to you? Is there anything kind of jump out? Yeah, Prabhu. Yep. Right, so the yogis are having to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans being the devotees. So, basically that's it. The point is that I think that I'm getting from that is that devotees, bhakti yoga is superior to this, this yoga of you're meditating, trying to meditate on the Paramatma or whatever in the heart. And as the yogis have to go get their information from the devotees. Right? It's saying the yogi, they're advised to meditate on forms that are approved by devotees. Yogis actually the yogis must meditate on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that is experienced by the Lord's pure devotees. Yogis who are not actually pure devotees should follow in the footsteps of devotees. So, bhakti is superior. These yogis have to go to the devotees to get their information. Right? So and now, can I back up that statement? Can I back up this assertion that bhakti or bhakti yoga is superior to karma yoga or jnana yoga or dhyana yoga? Yeah, I can. I'm about to do it. This is a paragraph from chapter 6, text 47. Prabhupada says, the verse is, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenan taratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, the culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self-realization. I think I read enough of that. You get the idea. Bhakti yoga is where it's at. Bhakti yoga is the goal. These other yogas, as Prabhupada says, they're a progression to bhakti yoga. So I thought of an interesting analogy. Everybody knows there's that story of the Brahmin. He prayed to Lord Shiva for the best benediction, and Lord Shiva either appeared before him. It's not really clear, or he inspired him in some way. But I think Lord Shiva actually appeared for him and told him, "Well, for that you're going to have to go to Sanatana Goswami." So the Brahmin went, "Okay, I'll go." So he went to where Sanatana Goswami was. He was staying in some cave, probably in the Vrindavan area there. And so the Brahmin, Sanatana Goswami said, "Welcome." He said, "Well, why have you come?" He said, "Well, I was praying to Lord Shiva for the best benediction, and Lord Shiva told me to come to you. So, to ask you for this best benediction. And so please, if you could, give me the best benediction." So Sanatana Goswami said, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, the best benediction. Okay, well, just over there," he was staying in like a little cave, and he pointed over to like a bunch of, not, belongings or refuse or whatever, it was all untidy and everything. He said, "Over there, there's a touchstone. You could just grab that. That's, you could have that. Because for the touchstone, anything you iron, you touch it, turns to gold." So the Brahmin went, "Oh, okay." And he took it, and he was very happy. He felt like, "Wow, I got it." And off he went. He said, "Thank you very much. I really appreciate that." And off he went. So, initially he was satisfied. So that's like the position of the yogi. And, they're coming to the bhakta. Please, what form of the Lord do I meditate on? And if they get information from the bhaktas, from the devotees, what form of the Lord to meditate on. But if at that point it hasn't occurred to them that, wait a second, I'm coming to this person and they're giving me knowledge of a form of the Lord that I can meditate upon to get this, realization, but maybe they know something even beyond that. See, and that's what that Brahmin figured out. As he kept walking, he thought to himself, wait a second, wait, hang on. If this was the best benediction, this thing is so valuable, why was Sanatana Goswami just keeping it over there with the garbage? Why that doesn't make any sense. So he became doubtful then that he had actually received the best benediction. And he turned around and he went back to Sanatana Goswami and he said, "Hey, I'm not confident this is the best benediction actually. And what you keep..." And Sanatana Goswami said, "Well, actually, you're right. It's not." And he said, "Well, please, the Lord Shiva sent me here to you to get the best benediction, so please give me the best benediction." And Sanatana Goswami said, "Well, are you really ready to take the best benediction?" And he said, "Yeah, that's why I'm here." He said, "Okay, take that touchstone, go out there and throw it in the river." And okay, because he knew he had something valuable there. And he did it. And he came back, and Sanatana Goswami said, "Okay, sit down." And he taught him how to chant Hare Krishna. He initiated him to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. That was the best benediction. So in that sense, the yogi, when he actually understands, it's good. It's good that he's coming to the devotee to get information about the form of the Lord and like that. But a yogi, when he actually becomes really intelligent, then he takes the next step. And it's described in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, "Bahunam janmanam ante, yoginam mam prapajate." Actually, he says Gyanavam mam prapajate, but I'm cheating a little bit. Yoginam mam prapajate, Vasudeva savarmiti, samahatma sajolabaha. That after many births, one who is, and here's the point, one who's actually in knowledge, what do? Krishna says, they surrender unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. See? So when the yogi actually becomes really intelligent, really fortunate, then he just becomes bhakta. And that's the ultimate goal. We heard it. Prabhupada says everything's a progression to bhakti yoga. Karma, jnana, dhyana, like that. It's all a progression. The ultimate goal, the peak is bhakti yoga. So it's not that meditation is inferior, but Paramatma meditation is inferior to bhakti yoga. There's examples of devotees meditating, and there's that book, The Lives of the Vaishnava Saints, by what's his name? Huh? No. Satyaraj, thank you. Satyaraj, yeah. So he tells about Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivasacharya and Shamananda Goswami. So they all meditated, but when they were meditating, they actually entered into the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. They were in their meditation, in their spiritual bodies, they were participating in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I think Narottam Das Thakur used to boil milk for Radha and Krishna, and Srinivasacharya used to help somebody else make garlands. I can't remember the details, but that kind of meditation is not inferior to, that is bhakti yoga. But the meditation on the Paramatma within the heart, that's inferior to bhakti yoga. So bhakti is the topmost. So how does one progress though? So how do you progress from being a karmi to a karmi, how do you progress to pure devotional service? Well, actually, it's the same principle for the karmi, for the jnani, for the yogi. It's the same. And I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read an excerpt from a conversation, morning walk conversation that Srila Prabhupada took place here in Los Angeles, 1973, down at Venice Beach. He was with Swarup Damodar. And it's one paragraph, and the point comes out right at the end. So just listen and enjoy what you're hearing, and you'll get the point at the end. So Prabhupada says, Krishna is asking that you realize me. And Prabhupada's playing both sides of the argument. Prabhupada goes, no, I cannot see you. And Prabhupada goes, no, why? He's Krishna and then the person. So Prabhupada goes, no, why you cannot see? Here is water, you are drinking water. Yes, I am water. I am the taste of water. Why don't you see me? Prabhasmi sasi surya. This is Krishna, Prabhupada speaking as Krishna. I am the sunshine. This is Prabhupada speaking. Who is not seeing the sunshine? Why the rascal says, I do not see God? God says, I am here, but he says, I do not see. Liars. If you are in my front, if you're in front of me, and if I say, here I am, if you say, no sir, I don't see you, what is this? Similarly, God is before you in the form of sunshine. Don't you see the sunshine? Why do you say that, I do not see God? Who has not seen the sunshine? In the morning, very early in the morning, you see God. That is Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhavasva Tat Savatur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya. That is the obeisances to the sun. Savita means sun. In the very beginning, you see God by the sunshine. And then think of the sunshine, how potent it is, how everything is produced by the sunshine. As soon as there is no sunshine, we become disturbed. So many businesses become disturbed. So why don't you understand that without God's presence, we cannot do anything? Where is the difficulty? Does it require any big philosophical speculation? And here it comes. This is the sentence right here. Prabhupada says, he answers his own question. Does it require any big philosophical speculation? It's an obvious answer. No. Prabhupada says, the rascal will not admit as directed in the Vedic literature. That is their fault. That's it. That's the point. Okay? The rascal will not admit, means accept. Prabhupada used the words admit, but the rascal will not admit, accept, as directed in the Vedic literature. That is their fault. See? So that's the whole thing. That's the fault. And the opposite end of the spectrum, or what's the word, the converse of that, is that the good quality is that you accept what's directed in the Vedic literature. That's the whole thing. See? The whole thing is just accepting what's directed in the Vedic literature. what we've learned, and of course we understand the Vedic literature from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Prabhupada is considered a Shiksha Guru for all of ISKCON. That's how we learn what's stated in the Vedic literature, the proper understanding, and we accept that, and that's how we move forward. And that is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee, or a theist and an atheist, or a sura and an asura. And I'll read you a reference to support that point. In the chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, Prabhupada says, one should perform duties in the light of authoritative scripture. This mentality is called divine. Okay, so when you accept, direction from the Vedic literature, and you perform your duties in the light of that direction, that mentality is called divine. Okay, and it goes on to say, one who does not follow the regulative principles, does not accept direction from the Vedic scriptures, as they are laid down in the scriptures, and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. Okay? Pretty clear. Two principles laid out. Prabhupada, next sentence says, there is no other criterion. No other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. That's pretty clear. So in other words, to the degree that somebody is willing and more than willing and doing, prepared to accept direction from the Vedic scriptures and living by that, acting upon that, to that degree they are divine. And to the degree that somebody is not willing to accept direction from the Vedic scriptures, they're demoniac. Prabhupada says there is no other criterion. That's it. Other than obedience to the regulative principles of the scriptures. He goes on to say, it is mentioned in the Vedic literatures that both the demigods and the demons are born of Bhrgupati, but the only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunctions and the others do not. That's it. So it's real simple. So my conclusion from that is simply that we have to work at doing things according to the book. The book being the Vedic literature. That's the book. And, we've got a lot of books. And it's understood, once again, through the Guru. We have Prabhupada. Without Prabhupada, how can we properly understand the Vedic literature? It would just be a lot of mumbo-jumbo. We would get confused. We wouldn't know how to properly understand it and practice, apply that knowledge in our life. So from what I can understand, the whole key to advancing in spiritual life or being divine rather than demoniac is to take shelter of Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada's Vani. There's the Vani and the Vapu. And Prabhupada said, actually, he said a bunch of things, but on one occasion he actually said, Vapu is for fools. Vani is way more important. The Vani is what's the instruction. So that's there in Prabhupada's books and lectures, letters like that. And we have to take shelter of that. And we have to work at, living our life according to what we're learning from Prabhupada in his books and his letters and his lectures. And that's, by doing that, we're gonna make some progress in life. So, how did I do for time? I got a couple minutes. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yeah, Bhrgupati Prabhu, first hand up.
Yeah, you mentioned how the devotee is greater than the yogi, that the yogi is lower. Is that based on like rasa, like devotees are, let's say, madhurya and parenthood and friendship, and the yogis are in awe and veneration? Is that the reason, or something else?
Yeah, and if you remember, during the class I kind of tried to make the distinction. There's a difference between, because Prabhupada in the purport, he says yogi is devotee, like that. So if you're a devotional, fully devotional yogi, then who's meditating on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and that's not what I was referring to as being inferior. The Paramatma yogi, You know, the yogi that's just trying to meditate on the super soul within the heart like that, that's inferior to bhakti yoga. You know, there's jnanis and there's, you know, brahmeti, paramatmeti, bhagavaniti subjate. So if you're just a yogi and you're just going for that paramatmeti, that level of realization, that is inferior to full-on bhakti yoga. You know, that's my understanding. That makes sense? Yeah. Chrī-niketam?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry.
There are so many instructions in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and look like it's not enough even one lifetime to put in a practice all this instruction to come to the level of Krishna Prem. So, what's your advice, or some kind, your realization, your what you can tell us, you know, how to apply all these instructions. There's so many instructions.
Yeah, you're right. I had a little realization about that this morning as I was chanting my japa. I was thinking, yeah, you know, I'm really into this instruction that Prabhupada gave in the Ansha Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it says, if you adhere to the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis and pray for their mercy, all impediments will be annihilated and the transcendental devotional desire to serve the Supreme Lord will be fulfilled. Right? So that's there, and that's perfect, you know, and that's, and I've been, you know, meditating upon that on and off for years, and it's, you know, it's perfect. But then I thought to myself, well, wait a second, I was like, that's one line and one purport, and I looked around my room and I saw I had the book, the Namamrita there, you know, the Namamrita, Nectar of the Holy Name. That book is 700 pages. You know, and it's just like one statement after another, emphasizing the importance of the holy name, chanting Hare Krishna. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, if I'm going to take shelter or something, I mean, I think maybe I'm being a little disproportionate in my allocation of attention here. You know, it's as I said, it's completely perfect. And that's a beauty of devotional service too. You can just zero in on one thing, you know, because it's completely transcendental. You could achieve perfection just by being totally absorbed in and focused on that. I feel confident that just being absorbed and focused on that one instruction from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the 6 Goswamis, somebody could achieve perfection. But at the same time, there's a whole book, 700-page book practically, about emphasizing the importance of chanting the holy name. So I think you got to zoom out a little bit and try to look at, you know, the whole body of what Prabhupada's had to tell us as a whole, and analyze and think, well, what does Prabhupada seem to emphasize the most? And, you know, try to focus, put energy there. I'll give you an example. I was listening to a lecture yesterday, and this caught my attention. Prabhupada says, advaya-jnanam means, just like you are Mr. Such and Such, when you are not present, if I ask, Mr. Such and Such, please help me in this way. But you are not present, you cannot help. Therefore, it is duality. Your name and you, person, are different, duality. And he says, advaya-jnana means non-duality. The person and the name is the same. Prabhupada goes on, says, otherwise, what is the use of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare? He says, then in that way I can chant anyone's name. He says, he says as a question, then in that way I can chant anyone's name? Prabhupada goes, no. This Krishna name and Krishna is absolute truth. Advaya-jnana, non-duality. So the Krishna name and Krishna, same. So I guess what I was kind of like trying to correct myself on was, you know, so I'm chanting and I'm praying to the 6 Goswamis. No, to be honest with you, it's kind of like, Krishna is there in his name. I don't got to do, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you don't have to be praying to anybody else or thinking anything. It's just Krishna's right there. You're associating with Krishna when you're chanting Hare Krishna. It's totally unnecessary to be praying to this, praying to that, thinking of this, thinking of that. It's all right there. Krishna is the same as his name. So, you know, just, and the thing is this, you know, Prabhupada asked us to chant 16 rounds. It's kind of like, it's foolish to be doing that, doing the thing that Prabhupada like placed the most importance on, and not paying attention, you know, and be distracted. we might as well focus on what Prabhupada has given us as the most important thing. Chanting, or japa, and kirtan. When you're in kirtan, that's a great opportunity. It's real easy to, get into the chanting when you're in the kirtan. Everybody else is right there with you, So at least I would say that's the first step. If you got to prioritize, I say, if you want to start someplace, start there. Really paying attention to your chanting, to your japa and chanting in the kirtan, and eating prasadam. That's important. And I had a realization about eating prasadam yesterday too. That, there's in that prayer we say, it says, right at the end it says, so let us take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and in love cry out for the help of Lord. My understanding, what that line means is not that you just eat till you fully, eat till you can't eat anymore. No. It means, I think what it means, this is my understanding, be fully satisfied taking prasadam. Have it in your head that this is what was offered to Krishna by the devotees. This is the devotees with love and devotion cooked this and offered it to Krishna, and hopefully Krishna's accepted it. This is prasadam. So I'm going to eat this prasadam to my full satisfaction in the sense that I'm going to be satisfied taking the Lord's prasadam. It needs salt. So what? It might not taste exactly the way it might not be the kind of what I want, or the taste exactly. I'm not going to worry about that. At least I'm working on that. To just tell myself, this is Krishna's prasadam. This is what's being supplied to me from Krishna. So I'll take this and be satisfied. So, and then there's that verse, it's Shri Krishna Namadi, Nabhaved Grayam Indade, Sevan Mukha Hijivaro Swayamev Sparatila. Says that Krishna can't be understood by the gross material senses, but he's understood by the beginning with the tongue. And, there's two functions, the tasting of the prasadam. So when you have that understanding, it helps you be more surrendered to prasadam, that it's reminding yourself it's coming from Krishna, it's not different from Krishna. And the holy name, the vibrating, the chanting. Those two things, Prabhupada said multiple times, many, many multiple times. I think I have a whole notebook, it's like almost 88 pages or something like that of just different excerpts from lectures and Prabhupada's books where he just made that same point in so many different ways. And if you do those two things, you become perfect. That's what Prabhupada said. So, Shiva Gopinath.
Hare Krishna. We were discussing how the impersonalist who's meditating on the form of the Lord, doing that, they could still remain an impersonalist. Does that go the same for the chanting of the holy names? If someone is chanting the holy names, can they do that in an impersonalist way and stay an impersonalist?
Yeah. To not have complete faith in the chant, holy meditation. What's that offense? If you don't, the chant without paying attention is an offense. So if you're not chanting, and there's always benefit. If somehow or another those words or sounds are coming out of your mouth, there's some benefit. But the more you pay attention, and the more we pay attention, the more progress, the more benefit we're going to get. So it is possible to be chanting and, kind of stay pretty close to where you are if you're not really paying more attention. Sachinoy?
In that regards, we also have some instructions from Srila Prabhupada because, in Bengal, many other sampradayas will chant, some mantras, and they're still there. Hare Krishna is there, the name of Gauranga, but he still wanted to do something more authorized, and Jayadvaita Swami spoke a lot about that.
Yeah.
So, but I have some reflection and maybe backing up your statement from the purport about it has to be authorized by the devotees, the form of the Lord and the meditation. Even, I think I was reading about Lord Shiva himself. He's saying that he's appreciating the form of the Lord. He says, but only that form that your devotees worship, that form I want to worship. Lord Shiva says that form. And then as a continuous thing, there is one verse that mentions that the beautiful face of the Lord is decorated with ornaments such as earrings that resemble sharks. And then he says, his cheeks are brilliant, his ears are beautiful. And then he says that the smiling face of the Lord and the beautiful form of the Lord and the charm of and charms and satisfy the heart of the devotees. And then he says, but there are some devotees that are not very satisfied with that, meaning that the gopis, they're not happy because they're blaming Brahma. They have some obstruction in their seeing the Lord because they want to see him 24 hours.
The gopis is a whole big other
so
subject.
that means that Lord Shiva is already seeing that something that is authorized. Yes, I want to do that.
John.
No concoction.
So that's the end of the class. I'd just like to take a few seconds to share with everybody a dream I had just before coming. I got up really early. I had all my rounds changed, so I took a nap after the first part of the morning program. And this dream was, I was in, it was a room about half the size of the temple room here. And it was in India. It was decorated like, like a high-class room in India. And so then, next thing I became aware of was Prabhupada was in the room. He was kind of like, say, where I'm sitting. And then on the other side of the room, there was like 2 or 3 little tigers. Two of them were real small, and one was like about half the size of a normal tiger. Maybe it wasn't a tiger, but I was thinking it was a tiger. Anyway, so next, Prabhupada became aware. Prabhupada was in the room, and Prabhupada it was like his room. That's where he was staying. Prabhupada became aware that they were there. And Prabhupada was not at all afraid, like very quickly. Prabhupada saw him, not at all afraid. He picked up like a bamboo stick, and he went towards them, and he was whacking the stick on the ground, and he was shouting at him, get out of here, or something like that, and banging the stick on the ground. He chased them out. He chased them out from the door they came in and down the stairs, and off they went. And it happened real fast. And I was really impressed. I said, wow. Prabhupada this is Prabhupada like about late 1960, early 1970 Prabhupada, that's looking like that. But Prabhupada I was really impressed. He was not at all afraid. He knew exactly what to do, and he just did it without any hesitation. He just saw them, immediately grabbed the bamboo stick, and went after him, and he was shouting and banging the stick on the ground, and he just chased him right out. So I thought that was pretty far out. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.